How has the role of the recruiting firm shifted considering what corporations are after these days from their executive candidates?
Well, there's really kind of in the recruiting world, and these are my words, and others may not agree with me. There's really kinds of two types of firms. There are the large global plug and play firms, okay, which manage themselves almost as professional service enterprises, where the partner has all kinds of support all the way down the line. And then you have a second group, which spends a lot of time investing in understanding the client's business, understanding the alignment. You'll hear me talk about alignment, just the questions that you and I've talked about previously. And it really, what's the alignment? Well, it's really understanding two kinds of sidebars. The first is what priorities do we really have for this business? What strategies are we really pursuing to achieve those priorities? What's our entity really look like? What do our business units look like? How are we organized in those business units? And what kind of leadership do we need to drive through that organization, through that structure, deliver those strategies so that we meet the priorities? And then the second sidebar of that is the culture, which, by the way, is changing. So as these companies move forward, as they transform, the culture that they need is got to change. Some of it we hear about is speed. Okay, we've got to move faster. Problem of moving faster is sometimes the individual who's leading the charge on the white horse with the saber looks back and there's nobody behind him. He's moved too fast. So they basically, companies are trying to figure out, and leaders are trying to figure out, how do I collaborate? How do I build trust? How does our culture need to change so that we can deliver with speed, we can deliver with torque, and then use that to go up through the alignment that I described to deliver on those priorities. If they fail with that, then the pressure will come from both shareholders and stakeholders. And what we're seeing is, while this is going on, while these if you will, atmospheres change and spin, and this regearing, is it does affect candidates, because what they thought they were looking for, as these things evolve, even during a search, it changes. And even you find people in organizations who were part of the decision to look for a certain type of candidate, they mean different things when they consider what that specification really is. Take a word in English. Take the word to. Well, it could be TO, it could be TOO, it could be TOO, couldn't it? So misunderstanding and not being clear, not collaborating, not understanding from a candidate's point of view that these two ideas, the cultural change and the alignment, with the centerpiece being transformation, with both pieces have to fit together, has led to the changing, if you will, of how one looks at candidates. And it's forced us to look at candidates. So the second group in recruiting are firms that spend their time to really understand the client. They don't say, here's 25 people who kind of meet the spec, who do you want to talk to? We just saw that from another large recruiting firm for a potential client of ours. On the other hand, it takes a lot of effort to make the decision. So what we found in our practice, and again, we may be an anomaly, I couldn't tell you because I only work in our practice. We ask a fundamental question of ourselves. Do we know enough that if we were the client, the future was at stake, the chips were in the middle of the table, the cards were about to be turned over, is this a candidate that we must see? Because if not, that candidate won't be seen by the client. In a way, it sounds a little brutal, but I have to say it saves the client a lot of energy and time, and it saves the candidate from getting all wound up and wondering why he or she is not communicated with, and on and on and on, which I know is a big issue. So we've tried to make this as simple as we can by investing in the client and also investing in the candidate, because it has to work from both sides, irrespective of who you represent, or irrespective of how you're compensated for the service. It has to work for both sides. If it doesn't, then what does the client say? It's a failure. Okay. What do we think? We think we failed. So we're trying to get to a success quotient where candidates can feel that they're being fairly represented, that they have the stuff, if you will, that that client really seeks and really needs. And the client feels the same way. So it makes a much more robust conversation between the two.